Today, I want to talk about some of the most common retirement fears. A lot of people facing future retirement, it's just such a massive change in an uncertain time. It brings about a lot of fears. So let's address some of the most common ones and what you can do about them. My name is Scott Caulfield. I am a CPA and the CFA charter holder and the founder of Sophos Wealth Management. In this video, we'll look at some of these big retirement fears that I think holds people back. Now, the first one, pretty obvious one, is outliving your savings, running out of money. Now, I always like to address this by coming up with a safe withdrawal rate from your liquid or investable assets. So for most people, we'll take a look at your expenses, what's your true after-tax spending. I always like to look at a couple years of tax returns. I usually find when people try to budget or get there another way, they're about 30-40% under what they really spend. We can make some adjustments in retirement. Want to look at your sources of cash flow. Do you have pensions? When's Social Security going to kick in? What's your strategy there? And then how much do we need to withdraw from your portfolio? You know, a safe withdrawal rate, historically 4% was found. Later it was kind of adjusted to 4.5%. I've done videos talking about these later, but that'll give you a great idea of where you will potentially be at in your retirement. Is your withdrawal rate going to be 4? Is it going to be 7 or 8%? I mean, if it's 4%, we could say in most historical circumstances, you can feel pretty sure that you're not going to run out of money. If you're in that 7-8% range, yeah, it has failed in many historical situations over that time period, so it would be a little bit more worrisome. Just by having this planning will give you so much more information as that first step. Now, second major fear is healthcare cost. I did a video analyzing retirement spending, and healthcare is the only major category of spending that does go up for households 65 and older. In every other category, they go down. I mean, whether it's taxes is the biggest one, but even travel, even food, all that other stuff actually does go down for the typical retiree. Healthcare is the lone exception. And this can be a little bit of a tricky one to plan for. I mean, obviously your future health is so uncertain, and switching to Medicare for most people is also a big change. So just another one that you may want to kind of include in your future budgets and projections. And again, having a plan can just help give you so much more certainty and knowledge around, I shouldn't say certainty, but it can just help you give a lot more clarity into potential future circumstances and how you might be able to adjust to them. The third major fear is a reduction of Social Security benefits. I talked about this one before too, and this is a scary thought. I mean, 2033, 2034, Social Security trust fund may run out. I think it's pretty evident there will be no changes to Social Security until it's truly about to explode, basically, until it's so obvious that politicians cannot ignore it anymore. It would be far easier to fix Social Security today. It'd be far less painful, but because it's not a political emergency, it's not going to happen today. My best take is, at some point in that future, I think for the vast majority of retirees, you're not going to see much of a change to your benefits. If any change, I think far more likely, because it's less politically painful, you'll see things like tax increases or potentially means testing on ultra high net worth individuals, at least to begin with. So, if you are in that high net worth, ultra high net worth category, I think you got to take into account that Social Security benefits for you could be cut. If you're a typical average median income type American, I think the odds that your Social Security benefits are cut are very, very low. Maybe they won't keep up with inflation as well in the future. That would be another route. But again, I don't think that's the likeliest outcome. I think it's going to be the politically least painful outcome, which to me means higher taxes, especially on the rich, and maybe benefits testing. Fourth category would be cognitive decline. This is, one of my big fears in my long-term future is what would happen as somebody who works with their brain. That's a scary thought. There's not a lot people can do about this other than just have a really solid plan. Have your estates and wills already set up. Have that potential person who could be a power of attorney. Have those trusted professionals, whether you're working with an attorney, whether you're working with an advisor, people who know you and when you're in your right state of mind and can maybe see those signs of slippage, and just to make sure everyone's taking care of you, people aren't getting taken advantage, all that kind of good stuff. Fifth major fear out there is inflation. Now, I think, we've seen inflation become a big concern in the last few years. This gets back to, I think, concern number one, outliving your savings. If we have a good financial plan, if you've got an appropriate withdrawal rate, your investment portfolio should keep up with inflation, and your spending should be able to adjust for inflation. So as long as your initial withdrawal rate's fine and your investments are fine, I don't think inflation should be too big of a concern. But it's something I do think that people should pay attention to in setting up their investments. You want something that is a robust portfolio that can do well in inflationary environments, deflationary environments, something that kind of can protect you through all weathers. So something to keep in, at least take into account. And again, as long as you've kind of got good planning set up, I think this concern is largely mitigated. Now, 6, some people are worried about debt, whether they still have significant mortgage balances, healthcare debt. And this all just gets down, can your withdrawals, can your after-tax cash flow cover your spending needs? And if it can't, what kind of adjustments do you need to make? That's something I think most of us are hoping to, or at least strive to, not have significant debts entering retirement, which I think is probably the goal for most. 7th one is a much softer science. It's emotional isolation. I think this does not get talked about nearly enough. This is it's almost like a silent crisis. Is when people enter retirement, they do not realize what a massive shift it is. All of a sudden you go from being around coworkers 5 days a week. There's a massive social component to that, whether it's the water cooler or lunch. All of a sudden when you're at home, the amount of social interaction might be a few times a week to groups of friends. And that can be fun for a few weeks, but a lot of people do really feel that social isolation that first year. It seems to me, in my experience, very N equals 1, but those who have really successful retirements have already started laying the groundwork for a really great social life. They're active in groups, clubs, rotaries, country clubs. They've got groups of friends they're already doing stuff with. They've got their golf games. They've got their tennis matches. They've got their whatever it is. It's kind of their go-to. And those are the people, to me, who seem to have the most kind of robust, happy, healthy retirement. It also goes into kind of that cognitive decline piece earlier. I think those who are active both physically and socially are those who seem to be healthiest. When we really slow down, both socially and physically, there seem to be a lot of negative consequences there. So these are the squishier components to retirement, but I don't think it's talked about enough because it is really critical to, I think, that well-rounded, happy, content retirement that we want to see people have. So hope you found this interesting. Always encourage you to share it with other people. Like my channel and subscribe, and appreciate you tuning in today. Thanks.